it's Leah, and I'm back with part two. Let's see if I can get focused. Part two of our trying out trends. And so far, I started the left page of my 2-page layout based on white backgrounds. So this white background, again, for those of you who didn't watch the last video, has some texture to it. And I wanted to take another piece of that paper and use it to frame out a completely white page. So on this one, I wanted to do multiple repeating, really, Leah, repeating motif. I've been up since like 5 o'clock this morning. Pardon me. It's very late at night right now. So what I wanted to do was use this paper to frame out my plain white paper and do my second layout on plain white. So inspirations. I love, and I mean absolutely love, this plain white background thing. But I guess I'm a little nervous because there's nothing. There's no texture on my page. There's nothing. I'm literally going to create everything that I need to make the paper look exciting and fun on just plain white. And I'm not an art journaler. I'm amazed by everybody who does art journals. I mean, considering I was an art minor in school, you would think, oh, I'd be into this. And like when I was younger, I was really good at it, and then I just fell off. I've noticed that the people who do a lot of the white background also art journal. So I looked through people's art journaling, and I looked through a lot of examples of white backgrounds, and I found a lot of inspiration from people who used stamping more than anything else. I mean, I liked the, you know, watercolor kind of thing, but I don't have gessos, and so I don't want to warp the page too much by trying to paint or color on the page, and I still also want a nice balance with my other layout. So what I decided was that I was going to use stamps to kind of create like a look of watercolor, I guess, and of course there will probably be Heidi Swipe Shine Mist because I've got a sickness, guys. That and Flare, which surprisingly enough, I didn't have a piece of Flare I really liked, so we'll see how that goes. So on the other layout, I had the theme for that page was coffee and typewriters. Let me see if I can just bring this down a little bit so you can see the coffee staining that I did using my Tim Holtz Distress ink and the glass of soda that I had. No, that's not soda, it's Distress ink. Just to create that look, because there is a song called Coffee Break in the show that I did. This is a photo of me and my stepmother doing How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying last year, and it was so much fun, and so I wanted to finally scrapbook it. And so today my motif for the other page is going to be telephones and glasses. So because the glasses that I wore in that show were ridiculous. So this is the photo that I'm going to scrapbook, and I liked it big, but I felt that because I was going to do a small cluster embellishment, so that you see a lot of the white on the page, especially because my glasses were white, I really wanted to have the picture smaller so I could build my papers up and stuff all of my embellishments kind of around the page. Also, I have no clue where I'm going to put the rest of the title. So please, everyone, bear with me. There's going to be a lot of just shifting things around. The paper that I'm going to use is, again, the Memorandum collection from Pink Paisley. It's going to be the same paper so that I have the same look from across both pages. And I'm also going to use embellishments from the From You to Me collection paper pad, and also I have a chipboard piece from that collection. Love that collection. This is some more memorandum paper. It's just some glasses that I had cut out before, and I'm gonna probably cut them out and use them. And that bag that I pulled the typewriter off of during my last layout, I took a telephone off of there. I might take a second one. I haven't decided. I also don't know where I put the bag. I have to find it. And these flares are from Recollections, and this one is from DIY Shop. They're chalkboard ones. I don't think I'm going to use these. I'm probably going to end up using the ampersand because I really like it. It's cute. yeah, anything else that I'm going to use? Oh, my stamps. I have these stamps. They are from Recollections, the new planner series. And you can see there's a telephone and a pair of glasses right there and there. And I will be using them to create my little, like a like a watercolor-ish background with the stamps. I'm just going to stamp a lot of it until it fills up the background. So that being said, I'm going to get started and get to fast forward. So here we go. So the first thing I'm going to do is gut my page because I like this paper. And I only have this sheet left, and I wanted to have a little bit for other layouts if I want to choose to use it. I really like that paper collection. I'm going to leave quite a bit of space just to give a sturdiness to the paper. I don't want to cut it down too much. And I will follow up by cutting 1 inch off of the side of each of my papers, get it down to 11 by 11 so that all the way around my finished layout, I have a 1/2 inch of that gridded paper, and it looks very gray on screen, but I think it's because there's a lot of lines. But in real life, it's very white. I mean, it's not very white. Obviously, the white paper is very white, but anyhow. So I'm gonna cut my paper out. I'm gonna use my trimmer instead of my scissors because I really wanted to make sure I got a nice crisp edge. And when it comes to these white pages, I mean, this is about interpreting the layout for yourself. For me, I'm not very minimalist, so getting everything clustered into one area is going to help me keep all of my white space open, or as much as I can, but I still want to be able to have a lot of paper and embellishing because I enjoy that about doing scrapbooking. And there are some people like Suse Fish, she is so minimal, and I applaud her for that because it's very hard for me to just put a little bit of paper and, you know, in this teeny tiny little square and call it a day. I mean, I think it looks beautiful, but for me, I wanted to be able to use this trend, but to use it the way that I like it, where I can pile my embellishments and my paper on and still enjoy my pattern papers, but have a nice big white area. Now, I'm gonna start layering these papers from the Pink Paisley Memorandum Collection. And as I'm doing it, I'm really thinking about this pink and this purple paper. The pink one has a paper clip and the motif, and the purple one has all of these little white diamonds on it. And they're so close in color that I want to make sure that I get them pretty separate between the layers. So I put the that striped paper between them just so you can see it a little separated a little better. Now, I decided I wanted to turn my papers a little bit. If I hadn't, again, there would have been more white space on the paper, but this kind of spreads my colored papers out and my pattern papers out. And I also wanted to create this kind of Sputnik-y 60s look because the theme of the show, the time period that the show took place, that this picture is from, is the 1960s, and that was a very important decorating concept then. So once I get this on here, I'm like, oh, it's not separated enough. So I am going to go and outline all of my pattern papers just to make certain that they stand out from each other and that I tie everything together. The first layout, I had done this as well, and I have a lot of my embellishments have this hand-drawn look to it. So my stamps, my pieces that I cut apart from the paper collections, and that bag. So my camera keeps cutting out, guys, so you're gonna miss a lot. What you missed was I stamped the glasses and the telephone all around where I had decided I was going to put my embellishments. So there's a green, like a lime green color, a blue, and then the black ones. And it's hard to see here, but you'll see it in the pictures at the end. And then I took the embellishments that I showed you earlier and just tucked them in so they were nice and tight in a group. That clustering, again, I'm going to repeat myself, I'm certain at least 10 times during this video. The tighter you get your cluster and the smaller you get your cluster, the more quote unquote minimal your layout is going to look. And obviously the less of your the less you use, the more minimal it's going to look. But for me, again, I like a lot of stuff on there, and I said to myself, I really want to get as much as possible into this little group. So making my picture smaller helped that, so I was able to have more space around my picture that would still have filled out the area that a 4x6 picture would have filled out. That cornflower blue ribbon I got for like, I don't know, 50 cents or something like that. I have it in an old haul video. And I knew I wanted to specifically use that color because it was the color of
Pierpont Finch, the lead character in the show, the color of his tie, and it was a repeating idea that went throughout our show. So I wanted to be able to remember that by looking at my layout. Oh God, that pair of glasses. That is going to be one of the biggest mistakes I make, and you'll see. I have to rip it off. But yes, I wanted to get that tie on there. Those glasses are a chipboard piece from the Crepe Paper Open Book collection. I did love it. I just put it in the wrong spot. Now, if I wanted to, I could have stopped right here and called it a day. Maybe stuck my title back on the rest of my title on the other page, and it would have been really minimal. Or I could take, which I don't do, I could have taken the title words and put them beneath the picture, and again, kept the cluster very tight. Now, I decided that I was going to continue the title across the page so that the pages were tied together a little better when you see them in my book. And again, also having that outside paper be the paper that was on the left layout brought the pages kind of together, and will bring the pages together across my scrapbook. So in order to make sure my letters are straight, I take the ruler and I lay it across the grid that's on the background paper, and I'm able to make certain that my letters are all at the same height and all go straight. And I'm really careful about my kerning. I want to make sure that my letters are all separated the same amount on that page, and that they're separated the same amount as the lettering on the left page. So again, these are from Pink Paisley. I forget the name of them. Watch the other video. Or I'll insert it here. And I love it. It's so pretty. It looks like steno paper, or that green paper that bankers use. And then I glue this down. Oh, the glue. I should have placed it and waited for a really long time before I put that glue down, because I don't like it, and then I'm going to make a bigger mistake. That telephone, again, is from a Chips collection. You know those little bags? I showed it in another haul video. They're from Pebbles, and they look like little potato chip bags, and they have all kinds of cute information on the back. This one goes with the From Me to You collection, and I just loved the idea of having the two telephones and then the two telephone wheel, like dials, across from each other. And I'm going to use some hot glue to stick my bow down. I don't like hot glue on layouts because after a while it dries out and it pops off. Not always, but sometimes it does. If you could use glossy accents, that works a little bit better because it soaks into the fabric as opposed to sitting on top of the fabric like hot glue does. So again, really trying to keep my cluster tight. I'm going to get all these pieces really shoved into that little cluster of papers. I'm going to outline this pair of glasses. Just again, so it can stand out, because it was gray on white and you couldn't really see it unless you were really looking really close. By outlining it, it helps it to tie it into the look of the layout and also to be seen better. So once I get this down, what am I going to do next? Flare, probably flare. Yep. I'm going to get that ampersand flare on there, and I should have put it there, but I don't. I mean, it's fine, but like looking back, I feel like too much was piled at the bottom and there wasn't enough around the outsides. But that actually is good because the stripe takes you up and down in the picture and creates a nice look. I got a little too much glue. I should have probably used an eraser right away when I saw that I had too much glue. But I'm going to fix that later. So I pull out my paper clips, and I use these in the last layout, and they're this fuchsia color. And in the other layout, I had on a fuchsia colored dress, and I wanted to bring that and tie that into this right side of this layout. So on the other layout, I put two paper clips. So I'm going to put the two fuchsia paper clips here, and I like to do things in threes. So my third fuchsia is you can see the pop of color behind the telephone, and I create a nice triangle with my three items. And you can do that with like pretty much anything to create a triangle of threes. Going to cut out my typed written journaling, cut it into strips, and then what you missed because my camera keeps cutting out and I don't know why, but I put some Heidi Swap Shine Mist in mint and Seafoam on the page, and I think I'm looking right now for my pink one. I think it's called Rose or Rose or whatever, or Blush. I think even sometimes it was called Blush for a while, and I just wanted to add just a little more pink to make the layout look a little more exciting. And I love that by doing it kind of in a diagonal or like an L, I bring you back in towards the center of the photo. Now, I didn't like how the letters didn't pop from the page, and so I come back with my Le Pen pen. This is a journaling pen, and I love it because it is a very fine tip, but it stands out really well from the pen. So I'm able to really get around my letters quite easily because the tip of the pen is very long. So just a quick tip, get yourself a pen like that if you want to write around something like chipboard where it's a little dimensional. And my trick to writing around chipboard or drawing around chipboard is to try to keep my pen at an angle as I go around, as opposed to just going straight up and down. When you go at an angle, you're able to get in really close to your letters, as opposed to like when you put the pen straight up and down, it's a little bit harder to get the tip right up against the letters. And it's funny because I thought, oh, I'm leaning against the letters, like how this would be super neat, and I wasn't. So I did have to go back a little bit over my letters just to make sure that the lines look straight, which was fine. It doesn't look like I drew any heavier over it because that pen has such a fine tip. So as I'm going and I'm drawing, I'm looking at that pair of glasses and I'm like, what am I going to do about something to direct your eye back towards it? But I didn't want it to be too full, the page. And I'm like, oh, maybe if I put this flare on top of these glasses. Again, I wasn't plan and don't scrapbook really late at night, guys, because then you make mistakes like what I'm going to do. So I know I need to put the dates of the show on there so I remember when it was. And I'm like, I start with my Le Pen, and it's not, because the flare is a little bit like foamy, the wording doesn't stay very well. So as it's drawing, and I know I'm going to have to go back over it with a Sharpie, I'm like, I'll just put the flare right here. And then, foolish, I used hot glue. What was I thinking? If I hadn't used hot glue, I'd have been able to save both the glasses and get the flare off there. But I used my hot glue before I was certain of what I was going to do. And this is me going, so I take this whole thing off. I have to throw the glasses away. I couldn't get it off without ruining it. And then as I was doing that, I smudged my sprinkles of Shine Mist. So now I'm like, oh, I guess that's where my journaling is going, because that was not where I originally had planned to put it. I was going to put it below my picture. And then this is me trying to figure out how I'm going to cover up the mess that I made, ripping those glasses off the page. And as careful as I wasn't careful enough. So now the minimalism is starting to wane from my layout. And I think if I had just used my gut instinct and not put the title there, but put it below the picture and then put the journaling near that, I feel like it would have looked much more minimal. But I got to do something. So I'm like, okay, well, let me use some of this stripe paper and just kind of create a little platform for the picture underneath there. I mean, it's fine. It's not exactly what I had in mind, but sometimes, you start out with an idea, sometimes you mess up, and you scrapbook in the middle of the night when you're exhausted. And you've got to fix what you did. So, I think sometimes you just got to breathe, step away from what you're doing, shut your camera off, or if you're not recording, just move away from it. Oh, here, smart, using a Sharpie now to get this on. And just calm yourself down and come up with a solution. If you get really upset and you feel like it's ruined, it's going to take you longer to just be solution oriented. I think eventually I'm going to cover up the word today because it's a little distracting. Maybe put another little piece of paper or maybe some of that cornflower blue ribbon there or something. So in order to cover up the mess that I made down there with my Shine Mist and my hand resting on the page, I'm going to put my journaling on the side as opposed to below my photo. So because I wanted to put it kind of on the... Anyway, I had a plan and I changed it. So the great thing is that because I cut these strips out and I put a lot of I put white around the edge, it kind of cleans the page back up, as opposed to if I had left it in a big block on maybe a colored paper, or if I had handwritten it and drawn a bunch of lines. This way it kind of fills that white space back up and keeps that minimal fresh look on there. And I got to tell you, I mean, it looks so pretty. And I don't think I've ever typed out my journaling and cut it apart. Again, another trend that's really popular. But I love the way it looks. It just looks so clean. And now this is what makes me love this. I was really kind of a little meh about this layout until I did this. I said, you know what? I'm going to outline the whole white page so that I really tie again that idea of the hand drawing and that kind of pop art look to the whole thing. And I love the way that it sets the white paper away from the white gridded paper, so you can really see that there's a differentiation between them, and it creates a nice clean line. And I'm so happy with the way that came out. I mean, I absolutely love it. That layout is probably, I think this well, that layout is one of my favorites I've ever done, despite the mistake I made. And you can see in the close-ups there, I love the way the outline looks there. The embellishments I chose, I love that they're the same kinds of embellishments as they are on the other page, that I use the same, but that also, like, I kept it really tight and there's a lot of white. And again, you could go more white and really take that this trend to the next level. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, enjoy the pictures, and try another trend. Bye.